together feels like home. Kindred spirits never alone. Let's join hands and sing our song. Sing our music is the food of love. At this table is more than enough. In this moment, take a breath and sing along. All is well when we are together. Greater, stronger, all is well. All is well when we are together. Greater, stronger, all is well. When we're together, it feels like home. We are together. Let's join hands and sing our song. Music is the food of love. Music is the food of love. Coming together to celebrate life, shining like stars and burning like sky. Great for each other, joy and faith. Grateful for this family. When we're together, it feels like home. Kindred spirits never alone. Let's join hands and sing our song. Music is the food of love.
All is well. I love that song by Glenn Rothell, one of our favorite posse artists, and often one of our guest musicians. Good morning. This is Beverly Pryor. I'm the minister here at Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas. And it's my pleasure, my privilege to welcome you to our live online service, virtual. We're not yet back in our building, but if the weather continues to warm up, we'll be able to start meeting outside in the courtyard that you see in this photo. You can't really see it from the street so much now with all the foliage grown up, but that little courtyard area is perfect for having some outside activities. And so I look forward to that. Let's just take a moment and get centered in prayer. And whether you're watching with us live on Zoom or Facebook, or if you're watching the recording later, you're included in this prayer and in this moment. So let's close our eyes together and take a deep breath in and slowly release that breath. Just allowing ourselves to become present to this now moment. In this moment, we open our hearts together in gratitude and appreciation for this opportunity to come together, for this community that has stayed together even though we can't be physically together, for this beautiful Texas winter day, sunny and lovely. We just have so many things in our life to look around and reach out to and appreciate. It just deepens our understanding of how wonderful it is to know the truth, that all is well. And God is within each and every one of us, expressing as each and every one of us. For this truth and so much more, we simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. The opening statement for Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas, and for many Unity centers around the world. Is also our first of 5 basic Unity principles. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe: God, the good, the omnipotent. I have just a couple of announcements today. Reminder that next Sunday, you'll definitely want to join us live. And if you can't join live, you'll definitely want to catch it later on one of the recordings on our website or Facebook or YouTube channel. Charles Holt, who is, he was with us last fall. He is an amazing singer and speaker, and he's going to do both for us next Sunday. And he'll be speaking on love, which of course is Valentine's Day. Heads up to those of you who have a sweetheart, you want to make sure that you grab a flower or a card or something, or draw a heart on something, just show your love. But he will be here sharing about the spiritual gift of love. He's keeping us with our series on the 12 powers of man, which were outlined by Charles Fillmore in a book by that same name. Also, our Sunday, February 21st, will be our annual meeting, which of course will still have to be virtual this year. We'll get a mailing out to you this week. We won't have any new board members to elect. We only have one open slot, but we just didn't have the opportunity to go through due diligence. Everyone else has another year on their term, so maybe by the fall, we'll be able to look to new board members for 2022. But that would be the only thing we really do want some nominations for is potential nominating committee. So we'll have one person and then one alternative. In the mailing, we'll send you a little ballot. And if you want to recommend someone, of course, ask them first. But we'll see who would like to be a part of that nominating committee. It's a wonderful opportunity to do service for your community. The committee will consist of a board member, the nominating committee chair, and myself, and we will find those new board members for you. Let's see. There it goes. All right, so this is the time where we get to do our favorite thing, really. I mean, the prayer requests are so important, and we receive something every single week. Some of it's out for public consumption and some of it is just for private. But in this moment of prayer, we include all requests, whether they've been spoken or they're just in your heart and on your mind right now. So take a look at our sweet little prayer chest here on the screen. And if you have something on your heart or on your mind for yourself or someone else, just take a moment and send that into the prayer chest. We will pray over all prayer requests received here locally through our website or by phone call or something that might be mailed in, or sometimes people text me prayer requests, but we pray of them here locally with our prayer team, and then we send them on to Silent Unity, where they are held in a prayer vigil for 30 days. There's someone in Silent Unity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holding that space. And they've had to restrict the calling times. You can see the hours that are on the screen now. It used to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as well. But they've had to change that because they don't have the call center on campus anymore. People are taking calls from home. So that you can call Silent Unity. And I encourage people all the time, especially if they have something that they're really struggling to get to really see truth in, whatever the circumstance is or the event or the moment, because when you call Silent Unity, their prayers just sweep over you. And it allows your whole system to calm down and your mind to expand and your heart to open, and really gives you an opportunity to connect in with that divine guidance that's within you all the time. It's just that sometimes we get our focus outside onto circumstances and we forget how to turn within. So that's what silent unity is there for. But let's take a moment now and join in prayer. If you'll close your eyes and let's take a deep breath in and slowly release that breath. And we're holding in consciousness in this moment, the absolute highest truth for every request. There's no degree of difficulty in prayer. There's none too great or too small. That absolute good we name God. Jesus, our way shower and teacher, taught us to pray, claiming it is done. So whether your request is for health or finances, relationship harmony, it doesn't matter. Every request gets the same resounding and enthusiastic yes, 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 from that universal power, that absolute good, that source of all things we know as God. For having this truth and this consciousness, experience of that absolute good, and to have a place to come to in consciousness from within ourselves and to know that all things are always working together for good. We simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. The mission and vision of Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas is to live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all people, in all moments, in time, in all circumstances. Today, our daily word reader is going to be our lovely Miss Mandy Scott. Mandy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning. It is Sunday, February 7th, and today's daily word is inner peace. I express the peace of God. Peace be still. With these words, Jesus claimed his authority and calmed the stormy waters. Following Jesus' example, I too claim authority. In a stressful moment, I center my awareness in the divine presence that lives in me and expresses through me. This divine presence is perfect life, love, and wisdom. It is peace that nothing and no one can disturb. No matter what may be happening around me, at the center of my being, there is always peace. It is an aspect of my divine inheritance, as near as my next thought. I release all fear and tension and embrace the peace of God. As I do, divine peace radiates from my center of my being. It clarifies my thoughts, calms my emotions, and relaxes my body. In every situation, I am a presence of peace. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. And that is from Isaiah 26:3.
Thank you, Mandy. That was
You're welcome.
beautifully done. And always a good reminder that peace is just right there. So today, our special music is presented by David Roth. And David is another one of our favorite posse artists who has won many, many awards and recognition. And David?
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Well, I want to get a head start on Valentine's Day because I think the world can never suffer from too much love. Everyone looks for their calling in love, but I always find it surprising the way people say that they're falling in love when I always felt I was rising, floating right off of the ground and reaching something that I only have dreamed of. I'm not falling at all. I am rising in love. And everyone talks about tying the knot, but I have a hard time agreeing with the way that we bind up the love that we've got, when the feeling of love should be freeing, lifting each other up instead of giving one another a shove. We won't be falling at all, we'll be rising in love. How do you let love grow? You've got to give it a chance when you found it. A bird in your hand will stay until you start to close your fingers around it. Love is a river whose waters we test, and a measure of where we are going. But you never can step in the same river twice, for that water is constantly flowing. But the deeper the river, the greater the trust, and the more that we're rising above, we won't be falling at all, we'll be rising in love. I am not falling at all, I am rising. I'm not falling at all, I am rising. I'm not falling at all, I am rising in love. I'm rising in love. I am rising in love. I am rising in love.
Thank you, David. That's a beautiful reminder of the ideal that we should hold for our love in our life. And now we'll prepare for our time of meditation. If you will, just sit back and close your eyes. Let your spine be straight. Maybe lift your shoulders and pull them back and drop them down, just opening up that heart center. Just allow David's words of rising in love just to move through you for a moment. Let's take a deep breath in together and slowly release. Another deep breath in, just with a little pause at the top. And then slowly release all that breath. Just noticing how your body begins to relax. The breath connects us mind, body, and spirit. It also connects us in this moment, one with another. Bringing our attention to our breath, we can choose that inner peace that Mandy was reading about. We can become the love that David was singing about, allowing ourselves to rise. For just a moment, bring your attention to your breath as it enters and leaves the nostrils. As you breathe in the air, it's just a little bit cool. And as you release it, it's just a little bit warmer. Breathing in, cooler, and breathing out, warmer. Take a moment and follow that breath as it moves deep within, deeper and deeper still, to the very center of your being. That secret place of the Most High. It's where we find that inner peace. We connect in with that higher truth of our being. Where we know the existence of the Christ within. Allow your heart to fill with that love, that truth of your own Christ nature. Allow it now to emanate from your presence, from your being, and go out into the world as we spend a moment in silence. Tapping into that very truth of your being. Receiving clarity of who you are in this world. This is why we come together, to know truth for ourselves and for one another, to hold truth. And as we bring our attention back into this moment and this time, we also remain in that knowing, in that consciousness of the indwelling Christ. And so it is.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
So today, my talk is called Enthusiastically, Yes. I always remind you that the universe is always answering your prayers and your requests and your desires from your heart with a resounding yes, yes, yes. But today, as we've been speaking about the 12 powers, and these are the ones we've covered so far: imagination, wisdom, order, faith, and last week, will and understanding. This week, we're talking about zeal. Zeal is one of those interesting words that you really don't hear very often. And when you do, it's not necessarily referred to in a positive way, because every spiritual gift can go to an extreme. We can overdo it, just like anything. And zeal is one of those. But Charles Fillmore describes zeal this way in 12 Powers of Man. He says, zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds the tides, the storms. It urges the planet on its course and spurs the ant to great exertion. So zeal is not just a human quality. It's a quality of our environment. It's a quality of the existence in the world. It's part of creation. It's a part of the creation process. And you need zeal. Of course, as anything, it can get out of control and you can become a zealot. As a matter of fact, I've been just started reading this book. I don't know if you can see in the little box, but it's called Zealot, The Life and Times of Jesus of Nazareth. And it's been recommended to me, and I'm preparing for Easter by reading this book. And I think that what they're talking about in this book, from what I've gathered so far, is the way that Jesus was perceived at the time. And we focus so much on Jesus, that gentle teacher, the one who taught with parables and by example, and but he was also seen in that time by the forces of government and the traditional Jewish faith, which is the one he was raised and educated in, as being a zealot. Now, zeal is the power to be. Sorry. Zeal is the power to be enthusiastic and passionate, inspire, motivate, and excite. You can be enthusiastic and passionate and become obnoxious, because I know that I have been that way in my life before. I try now not to share too much with my sister when my mother was living, because if I learned something, I thought everybody wanted to know it. And so that evangelical nature that's natural within me can also become a little bit too much. And we can be perceived to be a zealot and to be annoying and to be a little too enthusiastic. But enthusiasm's important, and zeal is an important quality within all of us. But even in the Bible, they warn against zeal. He says, desire without knowledge is not good, and one who moves too hurriedly misses the way. So sometimes we think we want to get somewhere. I see this with people who are often on a spiritual path, and they come to me and they're like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I just want to make some progress and I want to get there. But spiritual gifts unfold, and we have to give them a chance to arise within us. And we also have to look for ways in which we are exemplifying these gifts. If we hurry, if we try to push ourselves to get to a certain point, and maybe we look around and we admire someone else's ability to be a certain way, we're missing the point. The point is the journey, not the destination, especially with spiritual gifts. But if you have an underdeveloped zeal, this is according to Power Up Your Life, which is one of the books that I've been referencing by these Cher and Bill Holton and Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. Underdeveloped zeal results in a person who is listless and has little zest for life. They're unmotivated, difficulty in getting started, and they're unable to inspire others. They're just kind of like, meh. And we can convince ourselves that we don't have passion and we don't have creativity and we don't have this and we don't have that, and we shut ourselves down. And sometimes that's happened in childhood, where maybe we tried, children are naturally zealous and naturally have a zest for life. But sometimes they're born into families where that curiosity, that natural ability to learn and to grow and to be curious about everything is quelled. And so for some of us, we've continued to keep that shut down, but there are ways that we can reopen it. And sometimes we become zealous from our ego standpoint. Egocentric zeal results in a person who is considered a zealot. And so they're more impulsive and ruthless and compulsive and overly ambitious. This is the type of person who wants you to get it. Instead of you trying so hard to get it for yourself, they think every person needs to get it. And so it becomes almost offensive. I love this. At 94 years old, Charles Fillmore wrote this statement, and he repeated it every morning when he got out of bed. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that need to be done by me. I think that that's an important phrase, by me. I have sizzle and I have enthusiasm, and I'm springing forth to do the things that ought to be done by me, not what I think other people should be doing. That's an important little awareness to have. It's not about you looking around, it's about you becoming from within. So I was in my research for this talk, I was looking at Greater Good magazine online, which is the science-based insights for a meaningful life that comes out of Berkeley, California's University of Berkeley. And they did some research on zest. And zest is a word that's interchangeable. It's synonymous with enthusiasm. Zeal is also synonymous with enthusiasm. So they said zest is among the 24 character strengths that positive psychologists have defined and studied as keys to living a happy and fulfilling life. Although the science of zest is still young, researchers are beginning to uncover evidence of how beneficial this intangible trait is. So having desire, having zest for life, it evolves. It's not like the same thing all the time. You know, I think one key about having zest for life is that childlike curiosity. You know, Jesus said, make yourself like little children. But there are 4 reasons to cultivate zest or zeal, if you might want to call it, in our spiritual gifts category. But zest and happiness go hand to hand. And in this 2007 study, there were 13,000 people, Americans and Swiss, in this study. And they looked at 3 different ways to be happy: a life of pleasure, a life of engagement, and a life of meaning. So if you have a life of pleasure, engagement, and meaning, you're more likely to be happy. And they say zest was linked to all 3 routes to happiness, particularly a life of engagement, which involves being fully absorbed in life's activities or in the flow of life. So on a daily basis, what do you have a zest for? Where is your enthusiasm? Where do you place your passion? It could be on relationships with your family. It could be in service to others, volunteering. It could be taking a walk and absorbing nature. But allowing yourself to really feel excited and passionate about something is so important to living a happy life. They also go on to say zestful people are happier at work. So they're more satisfied with the work because they're motivated by enjoyment and meaning, not necessarily getting accolades. It's like, what am I here for? The big why question. Why am I doing this job? And when you know your why, you're more likely to stay committed and satisfied. And seeing work as a calling in turn has its own benefits, such as taking fewer days off and fewer sick days and experiencing less stress. If you're there for a purpose and you're engaged in life, you're less likely to find reasons not to be at work. Also, kids with zest are less neurotic. Isn't this interesting? So if children are allowed to just be curious, they're just allowed to play, they're just allowed to dance in the fountain, if they're allowed to stomp in the mud puddle. There was a video, I wish I'd thought of this earlier, I would have shown it for you, of a little kid and his, maybe 2, and dad walking along, and the little girl jumps in the mud puddle. She's got her galoshes on, and she's like, Dad, come in. She's like waving him, come on, with her little 2-year-old talk. And dad just kind of goes, okay. And he starts jumping in the mud puddle with her. It's such a joyful sight. When we make ourselves like little children and we become curious, we allow the children to be more of who they are. But sometimes we're so busy trying to restrain children that we can create these things such as neurosis and anxiety and depression and withdrawal and feelings of being inferior, because we've shut down that zeal, that natural enthusiasm that just flows through a child. And it's really important as parents, as grandparents, as aunts and uncles, that we affirm children in the same way that we like to be affirmed. Another reason is another reason for cultivating zest is that people become better teachers. Now, we're all teachers. I grew up with a grandmother and aunts who were teachers, and my grandmother was always asking me what I was going to teach when I got out of college. But of course, I didn't want to be a teacher. And what did I eventually become? A licensed Unity teacher for 15 years, along with my corporate job. So I'm sure she's laughing in heaven that, yes, I became a teacher. And even my talks are teaching, because that's what I love to do. I love to share, and I love to hopefully support you in your own evolution of consciousness. But teachers who are excited, who are passionate about what they do, they're the most effective ones, and they tend to have a combination of social intelligence, so they know how to interact with the kids, humor and zest, that passion for what they're sharing. So how do we cultivate zest or zeal? In this same article, they say, take care of your body, eat nutritious, healthy food, sleep an adequate amount of time for you. 8 hours is not necessary for everyone, but that's the guideline. And get some exercise. Take care of this body temple that's yours, so that you can lower your stress levels and to be able to express who you are in the world. And practice savoring. This is an important thing about zeal or zest, is to savor. And how do you savor? You have to slow down. You have to allow yourself to be mindful and be in that moment. Yesterday, I was eating a banana, and I was just kind of like standing in the kitchen, and I'm looking out, thinking about letting Carly out the door, and I'm just eating my banana, and I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute, I need to be present with this consumption of the banana, not just shove it in my face and then let my body do the work. I need to stop, and I need to appreciate the banana growers and the potassium and everything in the banana that's going to give me nourishment and the energy that it's going to provide to my body. But it took a conscious effort to stop mindlessly just eating a banana, because I have one every day. It's easy to just stop, to just keep going with what you do every day and not be present to what actually the choices that you're making. Cultivating optimism is a way to cultivate zest and zeal. So what is your best possible self or your best possible life? Have those conversations with someone. Affirm people around you. Look forward to something. Maybe you're at a point in your life where you're retired, or you're slowing down, and you're like, well, I don't really have those big goals anymore. But you can still have a goal. You can still have something to look forward to. It's important to have things to look forward to, whether it's writing a book, or it might be teaching a class, or exploring a new place to take a walk can be a goal. Finding new ways to communicate with people in this time when, maybe you haven't been a letter writer, but you decide to be a letter writer and communicate with your friends in a new way, because a handwritten letter is so valued these days. So just different ways to cultivate optimism and look forward to something in your life. And of course, cultivate those relationships, be social. Now, not everybody has the same degree of need for sociability. People are introverts. I'm a little bit introverted. I like my time alone. I can get too much time alone. So I have to choose to be social. So maybe you're really an extrovert and you need a lot of that contact. Cultivate those relationships so you have people to go to when you want to have that exchange, and make a point of it. I have to do that. I have to make a point to stay in touch with people, because otherwise it's easy just to have them fall away out of your daily frame of reference. That's important to me. In my prayer time, I stay connected with people through relationships that are not necessarily on this physical level, but I know when I'm praying for the highest and best for people I love and people I don't know, but when I'm sharing my desires for people whom I love, I know that there's a connection and I know that they can feel that. And of course, experience nature. Just get out and take a walk. If you're able to hike, get out and hike. Make it a little bit more strenuous. That's a part of that exercise from the first point. But nature connects us. When we're out in nature and we slow down and we become mindful, we have a whole new understanding of who we are in this world by our connection, by that dynamic experience of nature. And as Charles Fillmore said in that first quote, the tides, the wind, it all expresses zeal. And if you allow yourselves, I was walking by the river with Carly the last several days. There have been so many buzzards, and someone shared with me that some of the birds flying with the buzzards are Mexican eagles, and there are also hawks that were swooping down, and you could see that they were trying to catch prey along the river, probably some rodents. But just stopping and really taking that in just opens up our heart and allows us to feel that passion and excitement and enthusiasm for the natural world. And it's all part of who we are. In the book that I mentioned earlier, Power Up Your Life, they have the HEAT formula, they call it, HEAT. Honor your own uniqueness. You can't just take a blanket list of suggestions this way and force them upon yourself. Look at yourself and how can you stoke your own passions, your own desires, your own zeal, and eliminate your old beliefs. If you have some beliefs and habits and assumptions that block your good, if you have always told yourself, I'm not creative, I'm not a good writer, I'm not sure, that I don't really know what I'm passionate about, stop reinforcing beliefs that you know that they no longer serve you. Find a new way to approach, become curious. I'm curious as to whether or not I'm a good writer. I'm curious as to whether or not I could paint a painting. I'm curious as to whether or not I could communicate with a squirrel if I'm walking by the river. Just be curious like children. Make yourself like little children, and that zeal and enthusiasm will naturally begin to bubble up. When you tell yourself, I'm this way, I'm not that way, you're shutting yourself down. So you want to allow yourself to become whatever you're meant to become. We're always evolving. We're always gaining a new perspective. And as we do that, we allow ourselves to change and to evolve and to become more of our true self. And adopt a bias for action. If you think I might like to paint, go and buy some paints. Go and buy a canvas. Maybe I bought a canvas and an easel a year and several months before I ever put any paint on the canvas. I mean, it's a giant canvas. And I've been painting on this same painting for weeks and weeks, maybe even months by now. I can't recall exactly when I started, but just taking the time, I knew that I wanted to do something creative. I bought the paints, I bought the easel. It took me forever to put it together, but just to get the paint out, just starting, you have to take that step. Even though I took the steps of getting the supplies together, I didn't take the next step of putting the paint on the canvas for some time. I don't regret that I waited. I was waiting for inspiration, but I could have just started also. But whatever that action is, even though you don't know the next step, just take it. Just give yourself an opportunity to allow an evolution of who you are, but also temper your zeal with wisdom. Don't go out and spend a lot of money on something if you don't have the money, thinking that, okay, it'll all come together. Balance your wisdom with your zeal, because all of these spiritual gifts that we've been talking about all these weeks, they go hand in hand. Just like the faith in the fact that you are a creative being, faith is an important spiritual factor, a characteristic, but you can bring all these together in balance. Buddha is quoted as saying, through zeal, knowledge is gotten. Through lack of zeal, knowledge is lost. So as we learn and gain knowledge, knowledge is not wisdom. Knowledge is information. But if we have a lack of desire for knowledge, a lack of a desire for a greater awareness, then it can be lost. Not lost completely, but lost to our own awareness. We become unaware of our own passions. We forget to allow ourselves that opportunity to be curious and to be guided, because we're always being guided. We're always being guided to our greater good, to a greater expression of who we are. So even though you may not be a songwriter, like our guest musician today, David Roth, you might decide you want to write a song. When Jana Stanfield was here, she shared with you some verses of a song that I had, it's really more of a jingle that I had put together. But so I'm not a songwriter, but I felt inspired to do that. Just allow yourself to get out of your comfort zone. Follow those guidances and allow a little bit of zeal, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of zest for life to express as you. So this week, your weekly practice, your homework, as some people call it, is to cultivate zeal. If you feel like you've lost your spark, let yourself cultivate zeal. I know some of you are poets and writers and singers and songwriters, but just take some time in your meditation. And before you begin to meditate, just decide, when I come out of my meditation, I'm going to follow whatever guidance comes after that. Do your meditation time. And when it's over, don't make your meditation time active and intentional. Do your meditation time like you normally would. Allow yourself just to be still and quiet and calm and listen to your inner voice. But when you come out of it, observe those first impulses. Observe whatever it is that you're guided to do next. Maybe it's to pick up a phone call, pick up the phone and make a call. Maybe it's to write something. Maybe it's to get out and take a walk or go do something. But observe whatever that next thing is, and then choose. Choose to act on it. Choose to follow the guidance. Choose to trust the zeal and the natural enthusiasm and the zest for life that is alive within you, whether you've been expressing it or not. Thank you. Namaste. I love you. And now we will have more of our music from our awesome guest artist today. David?
Lots to think about. Well, I made a tiny little recap, Reverend Beverly, of what you talked about as an introduction to a song I've just written called The Word I Said Was Yes. So go figure. So brand new song, never sung before, followed by a brand new song, kind of just written. A little medley, if you would, a song slam. Goes something like this. Well, here goes something. Zeal is a mighty force that stirs the winds and tides. It puts our planet on its course. It steers, inspires, and guides. I'll use my zest in all my life, engaging in my flow. For wisdom and for meaning, I know that this is so. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that are to be done by me today. I want to sing that again. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that are to be done by me today. I'm glad I did that thing I didn't think I would. When I said yes instead of no, it came out pretty good. I'm glad I took that option. I'm glad I didn't run. When I said yes instead of no, I even had some fun. I'm glad I was agreeable instead of shutting down. That would have been my former self who had not been around. I'm glad I saw what could be possible in filling up my cup. When I said yes instead of no, my world opened up. I'm really glad the word I said was yes. I'm really glad the word I said was yes. When I think of all the things I might have missed, I'm really glad the word I said was yes. I'm glad you set your sights on me and how you've helped me grow, and all the things you shared along the way that I didn't know. In spite of my resistance and all my stubborn ways, I circumnavigated, and here we are today. Oh, I'm really glad the word I said was yes. Really glad the word I said was yes. Oh, when I think of all the things I might have missed, I'm really glad the word I said was yes. The world is filled with naysayers, don't you know? Well, I've become a yay-sayer, so here we go. I'm glad I did that thing I didn't think I wouldn't. When I said yes instead of no, it came out pretty good. I'm glad I took that option. I'm glad I didn't hide. When I said yes instead of no, oh, what a wild ride. I'm really glad the word I said was yes. Really glad the word I said was yes. When I think of all the things I might have missed, I'm I'm really glad the word I said was yes. I'm really glad the word I said was yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, David.
That was a handful.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for that little mini concert. Okay, this is our time in the service where we just express our gratitude and appreciation for your ongoing support of Unity of the Hill Country here in Kerrville, Texas. Thank you, all of you, for your prayers and your financial contributions. And for anyone who is interested in making a donation, you can go to our website at unityhillcountry.org, or you can mail it in at 1016 Jefferson Street. But let's just bless all that we are and all that we receive with our offertory blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send it forth with my blessings and my love. And we close with our prayer of protection by James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. So we'll see you again next week, virtually, of course. Invite your friends. And of course, this is the time where we open up to say hello to everyone. You can unmute your microphones and say hi. I see we have
Hello.
Carolyn and Jay. Hi, guys. Hi, Danny. Hi, Judith.
Hi.
Judy. Anita's online, and Joan and Amanda. I saw Hetty on earlier. I don't know where she went. And Kara. How is everyone?
Super.
Wasn't that cool the way David just wrote a song right
Yes.
in the moment?
That was absolutely wonderful.
Thanks for the timely message.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else have any thoughts? Thank you, David. That was just perfect. I really appreciate, and I love the song where you worked in Charles Fillmore's quote. You have to work that one out so people can have that, you know, throughout the Unity movement. Because that's such a good quote. Actually, I have it on a little placard right here.
I'd be surprised if someone hadn't put that to music already, but you know.
Well, I don't recall it.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything they'd like to share today? And I see Kara wrote in the chat. Thank you, David. So she appreciates your music. Anybody?
Nope. Hanging in there.
All right. Well, we like hanging in there. That's good. It's better than hanging out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. It's always beautiful to see your faces. Namaste. I love you.
Namaste.
Take care, everyone.
Have a great week.